Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Gibson, and I'm here today, hopefully safe and sound as all of you are. Thank you for joining us again today. Today, we're here with Bobbi, and we're going to be talking more about her life and her journey of eradicating abuse in her life, not only abuses that's been bestowed upon her the majority of her life, but also those abuses that she uh, actually experienced via self-abuse. So we're going to be talking more about that as time ensues. Today, I want to invite Bobbi in. Come on in, Bobbi. How are you today,
Hello.
Bobbi? Good to
I'm
see you.
good to see you.
If we can get you to speak just a little bit louder or move closer to the mic, that would be so much more.
Good to see you.
Oh,
Good to see
much
you.
better. Good to see you as well. So tell me something, Bobbi. How are you today?
Today I've been very busy, but I'm well busy.
Good.
Sometimes I can be unwell busy and and I don't want to be that. So I'm well busy.
Well, good. So what did you do today? If you could share.
Just kind of starting backtrack a little bit. From last time I was in a pretty rough place with my daughter. And on her birthday, which was the third, I did go up and see her and my grandkids to wish her happy birthday and see them and my oldest daughter. Um, and so hopefully I'll be able to start getting them on the weekends, at least one day out of the week or weekend. Um, and then today, I explored some community health worker certification options
Mhm.
and just kind of seeing where the job searching stuff is going. And
Well, that's
just,
wonderful. That's always a positive move. Always.
yeah,
So tell me, did you get a chance to visit your grandchildren?
I did. I visited
Good.
them yesterday. It was unexpected. I just kind of walked in. My oldest daughter, I took her to get her vehicle from impound.
Okay.
And when I walked in her home, I started kind of creeping around. I didn't know, whether my daughter was going to be there, was it going to be confrontational, was my grandkids going to be welcoming. I didn't really know what to expect. And then I seen my first, well, Adrian, she's my second youngest granddaughter. She started coming down the steps, and as soon as she seen me, she just was hands up, crying, couldn't hardly get down the steps, and it was a well visit. I didn't get to see my daughter. She said she was going to take
Okay, I
care of
can't hear
me.
you now. Your volume is leaving.
I didn't get to talk to my daughter. She said she was in the bath using the bathroom.
Okay.
But I did get to spend like 30 minutes with my grandchildren. So
Well,
I told
staying
them I
close
would,
to the computer is a good thing. Well, I'm glad you had a chance at least to be in the same house. There's a little
yeah,
bad blood going on there, but I bet your grandchildren really missed you.
yeah, they did. And I told them I would get their clothes and their gifts the next time I come down to Mansfield.
Their Christmas gifts that they weren't able to receive before. Okay,
Those and their clothing.
tell me how did they greet you? What did they do different, or did they do the same as they normally do whenever they're around you? What did they do different that you and they were now in another location, settled in, and not in your home? How did they treat you?
They were my like I said, they welcomed me with arms wide open, ran straight up to me, wanted to know where Pawpaw was. Like, he was kind of afraid to get into the house. Like he didn't want no confrontation because a bunch of women, and there's only three men with him and my two boys in the household, immediate. And so uh he didn't want no parts of that until he seen the kids coming out and welcoming him as well. So it was good. It was good.
Did you
It was
find
good.
some level of peace in that reunion?
I did. I did. And I tell you, I don't want to go through them bags, but I'm going to. I'm gonna go. I'm
So
gonna.
you
I'm gonna
remembered.
do it.
Good, good, good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
all of the steps, at least what I would do, and this is what I tell people all the time. If I'm telling you something as if I say, if I were to do it, chances are you should probably do it. And that is take the first step and make it bold because you're decisive. Remember, the decision-making process requires that you're decisive, even if you think you're embarrassing yourself. or you think that you're belittling yourself, or even if you think or believe that somehow or another you're giving your power away. Whatever that first bold move is, it has to be well thought out, of course, but it has to be impactful. And one of the best things you can do to help a person who's, for the lack of a better term, unorganized, is to give them organization. And you start there. You start with what you expect from them. And I think that that's a great move. And I'm glad that you're going to probably get some help to go through a couple bags of you and get some of that out of the way for your daughter. I think
And
that would be
if
wonderful.
it's something that I know doesn't fit them, or that's, not, I'm not gonna spend the time to wash it and dry it. But if the stuff that fits and it's amicable, that I know it's gonna be all right, I'm gonna salvage it. So
Well, that's good. I'm glad you went there. Now, in your life, we talked about your past, your present, and your potential future over the course of these last few sessions. But what are some of the steps you take in order to make your life safe? Specifically, what do you do to make your life, Bobbi's life, safe? And I don't mean safe just from harm, but safe from toxic people, safe from bad circumstance, not just fear of personal injury or something, but what makes you safe?
well, it's just going to lead right. This is a trick question because it's going to lead me into isolation abuse. I already know, but that's what I do is I isolate. I'm just fine not going anywhere if I don't have to. But other than that, like safe people to be around, like just setting them boundaries with people who I know mean me no good or don't mean me well, unless it's a proximity predator.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, someone close that loves me or says they love
And you
me,
can't get away from.
and they don't mean me no good, and I can't get away from them. Or I involve myself. I'm involved with a congregation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a safe place for me. So it's really my physical safety, you know, house safe, door safe, and then my emotional safety is really creating my safety net of people,
Mm-hmm.
and then not making any major decisions by myself. I don't ever want to do that. That's not good for me. Like financial decisions, moving decisions. I can remember periods of my life where I would say, I'm ready to move. And I would look for a house, look for a house, just like compulsively look and never move for 4 or 5 years at a time. Or I'd say, I'm going to switch jobs. And I would look for a job, look for a job and never start working. So I've come to the understanding like I haven't always been a good decision maker. And still today, maybe I make some decisions that aren't so good or not useful,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't harm me in ways that they used to.
Well,
You know,
that's called making a decision too. You're using a level of discernment now. You're discerning things. That's a process of decision making to discern because you have to figure things out. People hear the word discrimination and they think, oh, that's bad. It's not. It's very intelligent to be discriminatory. You discriminate between what kind of cereal you like and what you don't like, and
what you
you
don't like.
what how you need to respond as my daughter or my son to me. You have to discriminate in order to have that intellectual connection with that which you're discerning. You discriminate to discern. And then once you're discerning something, you're figuring it out, which you're doing now. That's part of your decision-making process. So you are making some good decisions if you're doing that. Now, the outcomes or the projected outcomes that you would like for to experience, that's different. Those outcomes are something that you have to not always use someone else's opinion. Making a decision all by yourself is a very good dynamic, a very good thing. Only when you get accustomed to it. And you're right. You're a very poor decision maker. You are. And you know it. And that's probably your biggest strength that you recognize it and you can start filling in those gaps of those 4 or 5 years of looking for a home or a job, you can start filling in those gaps with opportunities and stop, for the lack of a better term, wasting your time on your isolation. Isolation abuse is a separate kind of abuse. If all of you listeners go to our website and you just join our website, you'll get a list of all of the abuses that we champion and the explanation of not only their identifiable victim markers, but you'll look at the narratives and when these different types of abuses actually occur. So check that out under abuses at abuserefuge.org or goarrow.org, goarrow.org. That's wasn't even meant to be a plug, but I wanted to let everybody know where those abuses were. But go ahead, tell me about
I
it.
never really knew that I was abusing myself, but looking backwards, yeah, like I missed a lot of opportunities. I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost, friendships. You takes cultivation. It's like a garden. You have to water it and tend the weeds
Absolutely.
out, and I always think of it like that. And for a
What's
long
your most
time,
valuable commodity to you? What's the most valuable thing to you?
uh time,
There you go. So what have you wasted a whole lot of?
time.
You can't get any of it back.
No.
Time is the
And
one thing you shouldn't
I
mess
wish
with.
I would have known this 20 years ago, because I would have
Absolutely.
done so much different. But now I'm have almost half a century, and I'm wishing I would have done a whole lot of things different.
Well, hindsight is always 2020. Everybody sees things clearly in hindsight, whether they want to even accept it or not. Most people will see that they made a lot of mistakes 20 years ago and still do nothing about it. They'll see it clearly. They'll see the effects on their lives. Like you're seeing the effect of your not being there with your grandchildren, your children, and all of the different ruckus. You're seeing and experiencing that, and it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah, it does. It does. But moving forward, grateful that I'm healthy as a little pony. And so I, you know, hope that I have that many more years to make a difference and do fun things and do the things
Absolutely.
that I've missed out on. I'm not counting myself out.
Well, the term "it's never too late" comes into mind. It's never too late. It's only too late when you give up. The whole thing is just not quitting. You can go through rough times, ups, downs, you can lose and you can gain, but just don't quit. I think that that's the moral of that story of self, especially dealing with isolation and self-abuse. You can never give up on yourself. Because why should I help you if you're not willing to help yourself? I'm just
Yeah.
doing good help after bad.
Why should you want somebody to recover more than they want to recover? Right?
Exactly. Oh,
It's
unless they can't, and unless only under some conditions that, because I've had these kind of patients where they didn't know. They
and
didn't
and
know that they
that's
were
a
their own
different
worst
kind
enemy.
of. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
know, but see, that makes you different than the rest of the crowd.
And
You
then when you know
absolutely know.
better, you do
I'm sorry?
better. When you
Yeah,
know better, then you're able to do better.
absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I coined and used that term so many times in my life. And that's the way we live. We have to live our lives in that way. So let me ask you. So if your safety is paramount, and it's very important to you, and it's obvious, especially the way you treat your family and you're starting to get people to come around you in a certain kind of way that you need them to come around in. Safety is one thing, but trouble is another. What are some of the active measures just in the past month or so we've been talking? What are some of the active measures that you have been using in order
Um,
to stay out of trouble?
well, nothing happens good at dark after dark. That's one of my things that I live by. Nothing happens after dark. Like 95% of the time, I don't leave my house as soon as dark hits. So if I am going to do something, I'm usually an early riser and then, in the house, and that's starting family time is when the curtains start shutting down. So I do that. Um, I attend my groups. I try to get everything done in the daytime. Really, nighttime is a big thing for me. Big lots of money. I have to be very careful with how I spend money, where I spend it, what I spend it on, if I have a lot of it. So I've set like budgeting things. Chase has a really nice way of, hey, this is how much you want to spend for the day. This is how much you got for the month. This is what you're going to allot it on. So I use that, you know, um, and really probably still abusing myself, isolating. I mean, that is the truth of the matter. Because
You
I
can't be
know that,
afraid. Can't be afraid
yeah.
of your home. You cannot be afraid of your home. That's a bad thing. Or no, nor where you come from. You can
Well, I
never
mean,
be afraid of
things
that.
that I do inside my home now, if it's me getting into an argument with one of my children or my significant other or something like that, I'll leave out of the room or try to walk away. But when you got somebody that they're right behind you, pattern, pat, 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 feet going fast as lightning. You know, I
Yeah,
can't
got
get
it.
away. And so then I have to, I'm told I'm sarcastic, which I probably do have some level of sarcasm because I'm like, are you serious again? You know, that
That
face.
quick-witted quip.
But my face tells us I can't, I've never, so I wasn't raised with an affectionate family. I have had a hard time displaying affection towards my children, towards my mate, towards, I'm not a huggy, feely. I, what most people, when they tell me something about themselves, that would most a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, like I'm listening. It's not that I don't care, and I'm not cold hearted by far. My heart is huge. I'm very compassionate, but I have the same face. I've had to have this same face because it has kept me safe. It has kept me.
Well, you're a
I
veteran. You're a
say whether
veteran. You're a veteran
huh?
of chaos. You're a veteran of chaos. You
Okay.
have been through so much that most people go through something, and you've been there, done that several times. It doesn't really phase you as
It
being
doesn't surprise me. You
exact.
know, do you want me to help you figure out the next steps or, you know, and then I know too when people can turn it on and turn it off, and then, I've been there. Now they can either be doing that to kind of disconnect emotionally, which I will do in a minute, and go
Hmm.
right back to, I don't know if it's my alter ego or whatever it is, but I can get right back into the swing of things real quick. And,
Well, the
somehow,
who you are is it? No, Bobbi. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I wish we had better two-way communication here because sometimes there's a lag, and I apologize. But you're
okay.
doing the right things. The only thing I would think that is if you could measure as you're having these relationships, letting people turn things on and off in your life, insofar as conversationally or connectivity is concerned, uh, kind of measure it, kind of have a gauge in your mind to where you will allow it to go. Because sometimes people just pour things on you, and otherwise you should not have to, endure those things. So just be careful. We'll talk more about that, of course, as we continue to talk. But sometimes people just give it to you so they don't have to have it. And that's not right either. And
Yeah. And especially when I'm not giving it back, like, clearly you don't see me saying anything. It's not that it's not bothering me. It's why add gasoline to the fire, you
exactly.
know?
Is everything, and because sometimes in a household, if you isolate yourself at night, as you said, you don't have to argue with somebody if you find trouble there. You can actually make that constructive and say, hey, instead of fighting, can we watch a movie together or listen to my program with me or something? Can we read the Bible? That's, you say you go to church and you're
Yeah.
an avid goer and a parishioner. You, you know, you need to learn to inject those moments of opportunities where there are no opportunities. You need to make a moment of opportunity, and the opportunity is the best about you. So when you find yourself with the pit pat behind you, the feet that won't let you stop dealing with them, turn around and flip the script, and so to speak. Give them an opportunity to participate in your life on your standard instead of making it confrontational every time you get together, if that's something that's feasible. or if not feasible, at least something that's doable other than stand around and argue. Do you find yourself
Yeah,
in a
because
mood to
it's
want to do
almost
something like that?
yeah, I can do that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I just I have to be very that I have to be very selective when it comes to the suggestion, or that could end up in an argument, you know.
Right.
Um,
Well, circumstances always dictate the outcomes. So put yourself in a circumstance first where you know that whatever you're suggesting is something they actually understand or even like. And sometimes it's okay to introduce things to people that they don't like and make that your confrontation of teaching them in a way, the best way you can, of finding a like for it or use for it in their lives, and not necessarily liking it as far as what's good or bad for them, but what's useful for them. And framing it that way instead of being cunning, because you're a very cunning person. You are very instead of doing that, because they see that as something they can't deal with. It's too smart for them. For you to be cunning with people that you know you have power over, sometimes they view that cunningness in you as kind of the word is surreptitious, or like devious, or like you're the demon because you're smarter. People don't like to feel dumb. So when you suggest something smarter for them to do other than argue, they'll take offense to it initially because they don't understand how it would apply to their lives. And they know they can't make it apply to their lives how you make it apply to yours. So how do they get there? That's where you have to make those micro steps. And you have to introduce new ideas and opportunities. And maybe before you're arguing one day, just before you're arguing or any kind of issue comes up, have a moment where you say, I really like knitting. And they'll say, well, knitting, what the heck does that have to do with anything in the price of tea in China? And then you can then segue into that conversation by simply saying, you know what knitting does for me? Say what? Calms my soul. I can sit and focus and concentrate and get a breather. And no matter how bad I'm feeling, I just calm right down because I get into my groove. And next thing you know, I got a couple circles done, and maybe a few more, a couple lines done. And then whatever was bothering me prior is gone. And then they hear you say it. So in the time of tumultuous relationship or conflict, in a time of conflict, and they hear you say, you want to go knit something with me? Let's go knit something. I'm going to show you how to do that cross stitch hook or whatever they call it, that kind of thing. And because what you're doing, Bobbi, and what I wanted to share with you today, talking about your safety and also talking about trouble, is you're creating mechanisms, coping mechanisms to deal with circumstances and people that you can use consistently across many fronts and many different types of personalities. People always want knowledge. They just don't like to feel dumb about getting it. And what people don't realize is most people are dumb about something. We all are. I'm dumb about a few things too, because you're only dumb until you know about it, and then you're no longer dumb. It's just that simple. And people don't like to use the word dumb. So I like to tell people that dumb, you can fix, you can work with that. Stupid, hard to deal with. Hard to deal with stupidity, because people will do it even if they know it's the wrong thing to do. They'll still do it. And that's pretty much stupid. And it's insulting to hear those words.
Or one of my pet peeves is that all or nothing, that like everybody. No,
Ultimatums.
that
Ultimatums.
makes my brain just, because I'm not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm me, and it doesn't apply to me. So stop saying all, everyone. Oh, that drives me crazy.
Two
That's
things
like
happen. Two things is happening
biggest
when they do that. You know what's happening?
thing.
Those are called ultimatums. People say all or nothing, or the takeaway when you're dealing in sales is called the takeaway, or you either have it or you don't. I'm going here, you go. What was actually occurring is they're trying to take your power. Someone is trying
No,
to
I
take
give
your
it up
power
every
away.
time. I
I'm
give it
sorry?
up every time. I give it up every time.
That's the problem. That's where you find your turmoil. You find all of your problems by giving it away. Once you give your power away to someone else and they know they can get away with it, they're going to always make this all or nothing thing the way they deal with you because they
Because
know it rattles you.
I feel like I have to defend myself.
But you don't.
Yeah, I know, because I know that I'm not that or like that, or but I always feel the need, like I have to defend myself. And then they're like, well, why are you so defensive? Well, because you said everybody and I'm part of everybody,
I
and
know.
then it's that never ending hamster wheel that I just go, 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 go.
See, there's a
But
problem right there. The crux of your problem lie in the fact that you will not take control. You just won't assume the responsibility of that which comes out of your mouth or the mouths of someone else. When someone insults you in any kind of way, that you're a bad, so let's say I said right now, you're a bad grandmother. You're a bad grandmother. You know you're not. And you know how you disarm me? You know how you disarm me is don't say anything. But you're a bad grandma. You're a bad. Then I peter out. After a few times or 10 times telling you that, it means nothing anymore because you did not respond to it or react. The moment you react, they got you. In the very moment you go, I give up, take the power, forget it, all or nothing, you can have it. The moment you do that, you just gave them all of your power. That's not the solution. The solution isn't to give away your power, and it's not to take theirs either, but it's to find a balance between both of you. Remember, every relationship you ever have in life is nothing but an exchange of power. Whether you're talking to your banker, your school teacher, your husband, your kids, it's just an exchange of power. You give them powers for this, they give you powers for that. You have authority over this, they have authority over that, and it's never 50-50. 51-49 is the closest you'll get. Sometimes you get 60-70, 60-40 or 70-30. Sometimes you do that, but you'll never get 50-50. Not ever. Somebody will always lead, even if it's by a fraction of a point. If it's, 50.1 and 49.9, you will definitely have a leader. And that's what you have to aim for. And since you're the matriarch of the family, that responsibility, that role has responsibilities. And so you have to exchange powers and you have to, negotiate those powers. And since you're in charge, de facto in charge now, you have to assume that responsibility. And a person knows that by calling you a bad grandma is going to hurt your feelings. And they see you visibly get upset. They see you visibly change colors. They see you visibly want to just choke them or just shut down and not participate. Then they got you. You don't have them. You didn't win anything. They did. They got exactly what they wanted. Whatever it was you were talking about before, they can now do it because you gave up.
that's why it's always good to kind of text, because you can't really
No,
decipher, you know.
I don't disagree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you there. Text, if that works for you, fine. Sometimes when I text people, they go, what the hell is he talking about? So maybe not with me texting. But I will say this. Sometimes it's better to do one other thing than text or talk. Pause and think before you respond. If you pause, you're a bad grandma. See what that silence does? That silence, that pause resets you.
Yeah.
It resets you in a way because you, of course, know it's not true. I tell people this all over the world for many years. There's only two things in life you should ever defend. Two things. First thing is your honor. Always defend your honor. Unless you're an attorney in court and you have to defend other people's rights and all that. That's one other kind of defense. I'm talking about personally. There's only two things in life you should defend. Your honor is one of them. And your person, or the person, people around you, other persons around you that you care about, their safety. Those are the only things you should defend. If you're defending your honor, like if I called you right now a bad grandmother, that's a offense against your honor as the matriarch in your home. You have to defend that, but not in a way that you're defensive. Sometimes you can be offensive on the offense instead of on the defense. And you don't have to explain to anybody why you are you. And if they believe that you're a grandmother, that's just a bad grandmother, that's just their matter of opinion. And you have to take it that way so they believe you. They must believe that whatever character role you take on once they insult you or try to take your power away, that it's permanent and that it's you. So you remember, people will only ever do to you what you let them do to you. And if you allow them to do these things to you, they will keep doing them because they know they can get away with them. So you have to stop there, the all or nothing scenario. It happens to everybody, where your husband says, I'm out. Or your wife says, I'm out. Exactly.
You know what happens when it's the patriarch of the family and the matriarch,
Are at odds. Yeah, but that's normal. But see, here's the thing. That's normal and it's forgivable only if there's a level of respect between that exchange. See, respect is everything. I don't care what anybody says. Respect is everything. But as I was saying before,
but how you say it.
And not just how you say it, but also what you say. What you say is just important. Okay, here's one for you. Let's test this theory. Okay, I say, you ran into the car and that was really stupid, and you broke the front lights and you hit the pole with the car. Now you know you didn't do that. You know that someone else may have taken the car, unbeknownst to you or him, and he's directing that at you. And yet he's called you dumb and stupid and all kinds of things in his reckless attempt to try to demean you or hurt you for having hurt the car or hurt you guys' mode of transportation. Not that this is true, but just as a hypothetical. So he's already hurt you and insulted you in this exchange. The way you diffuse, the way you change the narrative or disarm him is acknowledge what he's saying first. It takes the big first bold move to win any exchange. And you acknowledge and listen and say, well, although what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and you can even have a smirk on your face, it makes a lot of sense. But I didn't do that this time. And I understand your angst. I do get it. I'd appreciate it if you're a little bit more respectful to me in that exchange, but I understand your anger. And sometimes we get out of shape with that. He will be totally disarmed if you really mean it, because he'll say, wait a minute, I'm supposed to get a scream back or throwing a frying pan at me or something. I should get something back at me, but I'm getting love and I'm getting understanding. And I'm getting like clear-minded from this person that I'm accusing of being stupid, dumb, and breaking the car and accidents and crashing. You disarm that circumstance and then you explain that perhaps if we work together, because remember, arguments are about you and him. Me, I, you hurt me, you did this to me, you beat this up, you broke that, you were bad at this, you were bad at that. That's an argument. A confrontation, which is good. Confrontation is always good. But a confrontation is about us. It's about the collective of us. It's about what can we do to make this better? How do we move forward? How do we find out who really hit the car? How do we find out what happened? Once you assume without lying, see, once hyperbole or lies get into a circumstance, then you lose more than just trust. And we'll talk about that later. But just by saying the serious truth, the honest to God truth, you're saying to that person, we have to get to the bottom. You ally them, become their allies in their quest to figure it out, especially if you're not the culprit, no matter what the circumstance. And even if you are the culprit, let's say you are guilty and you did do it, still come back with, I can understand your anger. And you're right. I hurt the car and I should have told you about that. Because that person should mean more to you than that car.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So even whether you're guilty of it or not, you still have to do the exact same thing. You have to say and become their ally and say, okay, I'm wrong. I'm beat myself up, but I understand you beating me up too. But to the degree that you're beating me up or to the disrespect that you're beating me up, I can't really tolerate that, but I'm going to get on board with you and we're going to figure out a way through this. And I do apologize and be sincere about it. You'll find that you can knock out about 70% of all arguments this way by not thinking about you or what he did or what you did, but think about what we can do to make it better or what we can do to stop having those things occur in our lives. The whole we concept. It's called a hortatory command. You have, in English, you say these kinds of collective commands that you use. And whenever you're being collective in your command presence with your husband and your kids or anybody else, like we to my daughter, we know you're here today and we still love you. Instead of I love you and I'm visiting you, we know you're here and we love you. And it will penetrate and it will be so much more effective for her to know that she's a part of that love and not just being presented that love. And that's because I know you love your daughter. She may be a pain in the ass. Most daughters and sons are. That's their job. From birth, their job is to break stuff when they're little kids. Their job is to knock it over. Their job is to experiment on stuff. Like, yeah, I would never do that. Why did you go do that? You know, that's their job. That's what they do. They're learning. And even after they get older and they didn't learn, there will always be areas of reinforcement. So you have to reinforce. So instead of thinking about Bobby or your husband and his error, or what he did wrong, or what they did wrong, or what him or she did wrong, those kinds of thoughts in that process will always lead you to arguments. And if you can tell me this right now, just tell me this in your most direct manner. In your lifetime, what have you ever gotten out of an argument?
Nothing. More pissed off than I was when I started it, probably.
No one gets anything out of arguing. I can't name a person on this planet that's ever told me they got anything out of sitting around arguing with someone. Because all they're doing is exchanging why they don't like something, why they can't do it, why it's always about what you can't do instead of what you can do. But confrontations, when people confront issues and they're sincere about it, like we're confronting this issue right now, Bobby, I can see your face. We're looking at something in a whole nother light. Because you're a powerful woman. Why not use your power instead of have it sitting back in some bastion behind you somewhere, some storage area where you keep all your power? Why do that when you can actually use it? But the tools to
That's what
use
I'm
it.
sitting here thinking. Like, just an example I was thinking about yesterday. So I have two dogs. They're pretty big dogs. They're American bullies. One's about 140 and one's
Wow.
about 85 or 90. She's a female. She's a girl, so she's a little smaller.
Wow.
And depending on how they're holding their head, like their neck and shoulders, there's no, I mean, their head and shoulders, there's no neck. So it may sound like, they breathe funny or
Mm-hmm.
snore.
I know
And,
the dog.
huh?
Beautiful dogs.
And so they was like, one of my other household members was like, the dog just growled at me. And I'm like, now, mind you, my dogs are held in with chicken wire. Okay, they're that non-aggressive.
Okay.
But true enough, they're still dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my face is like, these dogs don't growl. You can't even tease them to get them to growl. And they're like, no, he growled at me. And I said, well, maybe, it might have sounded like a growl, but it was really just the way that he was holding his body, you know, because clearly they're down at your feet now. And so the argument ensued. And then I said, then the statement was made, oh, you love the dogs more than you love us. No, but I just didn't believe that my dog growled. Not that it's mine, but they follow me everywhere I go, nobody else. So
Of
I've
course.
been the nurturer, the caregiver, the, you
And
know,
they recognize you as, for the lack of a better term, the alpha as well, the matriarch. They recognize you as the head of that whole element. Let me ask you a question. Do you know your dogs very well? You know their
very well.
personalities, you know everything. Okay. If I knew those dogs like you knew them, I would say, dogs are very sensitive instead of saying, no, they didn't. Remember, that's defending. When you say, no, they didn't, you're now arguing with them that they did or they didn't, they did, they didn't. I would have probably came back with dogs are very sensitive. And sometimes they growl to show their distaste for how you're treating me. They know. And or how I'm treating you. They may have been on your side growling, going, I got your back. I don't like the way she's treating you. You make we, the issue instead of her or you. And especially the dogs. They're not the problem. The dogs do what dogs do. You say they're animals. They do what dogs do. So the better way, or not even better, just a more useful period of time could have been spent talking about the dogs, their levels of sensitivity, how you know them. And yeah, if they growled at you, chances are they meant to. Give her that agreement, not because they want to hurt you, but they don't have any other way to tell you that their feelings are hurt for what they're seeing going on here. They don't have another way to tell you that.
Multiple family members tell me this. Oh, you care about this dog more than you do me. It's not that I care about the dogs more, but I will tell you this. I've had them since they was 4 weeks old and not 6 weeks.
Okay.
Both of them. Two
Got it.
separate litters, 1 year older than the other. They've been there through thick and thin with me.
Absolutely.
Through the good, the bad, the ugly, the
There you
everything. And they know me like I know them. And they were there when a lot of people weren't.
And you don't have to, that's defending it, but that's a good explanation. I don't want to talk over you, but I want you to get this point. Great explanation, a great character these dogs have, your animals, your pets, your best friends, your buddies, your family. I understand a pet is very important to a family, and individuals within that family sometimes have more of an importance with those animals, be it a cat, a dog, or a snake, or a hamster, it doesn't matter. But the thing I want you to remember is that you should not have to defend them. Because when someone's antagonizing you about your pet in your life, and they're telling you that you care more about them than me, and that form of antagonizing people don't work. It always leads to more arguments. So when you're being antagonized this kind of way, or you're being made feel guilty for having something that's good for you, you have to come back with what you understand about that thing. Always come back with whatever that thing is that they have a problem with, and let it stand on its own by saying that my dogs may be a lot of things, but they're not more important to me than you or the rest of my family. But they do have a place here, and I won't neglect them just like I won't neglect you. And maybe you see conflict there. Maybe you see that conflict there. These are just little suggestions, but you gotta take your power back.
In the moment, see,
anger.
That's my thing. I
Anger.
don't have that when I get, especially when it's things that I care about, or people that I care about, or situations that I care about. That 0 to 5 second that I should wait, there isn't.
It's gone. But see, that's all you know, Bobbi. That's all you know. Come on now. You've been fighting since you got out of the womb. Okay.
Can I get a rubber band and remind me, or do I need
No. All those tricks, none of that works, Bobbi. None of that works. People tell you the rubber band, the say this mantra. None of that works. Only time that works is after you've gone over the hump. You're not over the hump yet. What actually works is practice. You have to practice it. You have to start doing it whether you like it or not. Once you start
with something that don't get me really upset, maybe something that just makes me go, ooh, that, like it just raised a little bit and not a whole lot. And so then I can start there and then try that. Well,
try this. Let's just try this. Watch me. Michael, you are a liar. Well, that's your opinion. And I respect that. You wait a minute. Are you a liar? I didn't say that. I just said I respect your opinion. I don't have to agree with you. In this particular exchange, I would tell the person, I don't have to agree with you. I don't even have to like it, but I don't have to respond the way you think I should either. I know sometimes people get to me and they oftentimes think they're hurting me by saying things that are not true. And when I don't respond at all, they lose their mind. They just do. But I'm okay, because if I'm okay with me and I've decided that I'm not going to let anybody else take my peace away from me, then I'm not going to let it happen. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to stop. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to do something, but I won't deal with it. Why? It's not real. Is that an ant on the screen? I think there's an ant right there on your thing. There you go. But at the same time, you have to look at it that way. You have to find yourself in a circumstance, Bobbi, and this is important. You have to find yourself in a circumstance where you're in control. And I don't mean that key control where everything has to happen the way I need it to happen, but no, in control of you. Start with yourself. Forget trying to control other people. No one in life will ever change. No matter what you tell them, no matter what you do, they will never change. No person on the planet will change because of you in that way. The only time they'll ever change because of you is when they see you change. And the only person who can self-actualize to change you is you. Your husband can beat you up, choke you, love you to death, kiss you all over every day of his life. But you're never going to change until you make that decision. It'd have to be within you that you make the decision first to whatever that change is. So once you start looking at it that way, Bobbi, I can guarantee you 15,000 ways from Sunday is that you'll start winning. You'll have a column of wins and a column of losses, and your column of wins will get greater because you're not allowing people to not only control your narrative, but you're not walking away with that all or nothing. Okay, you can have it attitude. You're turning around and you're facing them head on. Because if you don't, you're going to keep running into that same obstacle every time. Every single time you turn around, that obstacle is going to be there. So you might as well confront it, not argue it. You will win nothing ever by arguing. You will never win. You will always lose. Doesn't matter. You will lose. But if you confront it and you include even the worst person across from you, the worst human being, if you include them in the solution, you'll find resolve most often. Not all the time, but most of the time you will find resolve and you'll find some type of remedy for whatever the problems that you're having. But you cannot make it, if someone says, I didn't do it, you don't have to take them at face value. That's what most people do, and they end up getting fooled. You just have to take them from where they come. You have to take them from their own, what value, how likely is it that Barbara, my friend that I'm talking to, is lying to me? And then you think in your head as you're pausing, well, she's lied to me 17 out of the past 20 times. Chances are this is a lie too. You get it? You take a look at the whole person that you're dealing with. But that won't work. It'll never work unless you take a look at the whole person of you to it. And then you match those two. If they fit, okay, you got something to work with. If they don't, keep going, keep trying to figure out how to make it do this so you got something to work with. And that's important. Then nothing's going to be 100%. Nothing's going to be 50-50. If you know that, unless the only time you'll ever get 100%, this is just my hypothesis or my well-educated guess. The only time you'll ever get 100% is if you both want to do it 100%. Like, yeah, let's get married. Yeah, let's get married. That's 100% and 100%. But it can't be like, well, I want to get married. I'm 60% there. You're only 40. That won't work. That marriage will never work 60-40. It has to be 100-100 or 90-90 or 98-98 or something like that. So you can play with your numbers and how you deal with people. But remember, if you're in control of the narrative and the direction of the conversation, then chances are you're going to get the outcome you want. If you lose control of the narrative or the conversation, you will never get anything that you want. It is literally that simple. But you can't also do something, and I want to kind of put a caution in there. You can't take their dreams away from them either. You can't take their goals from them either. If a person comes in with a set amount of something they want on the table, find a way to give it to them without hurting you. Find a way to let them have what they think they need to have. Find a way to give them the authority, give them the responsibility, give them the autonomy to be just like you. Even if you don't like the outcome, they got to learn somehow.
I know, but at what, our household expense? Like everybody
No.
in the household goes
Now
down the
that would be irresponsible.
No.
That would be irresponsible. But see, that's the way you should think. Just like you said, but at what expense? See, you just put a parameter around it. You put boundaries. You say, okay, we're going to work this out, but these are our boundaries. That's being a leader. That's being smart. That's including them in the solution, because you're corralling everybody into one, not bubble, but a space. This is our opportunity space. And when we all enter this space, we can't go outside of it. We can't color outside of these lines, because this is how we lose control of not only our relationships, but we lose control of ourselves. So let's try to color within the lines. But sometimes when you get, forgive me for saying, 10 or 20 people in your household, you have to have a much bigger box and bigger markers and brighter colors. So you got a lot of dynamics to deal with. And I know why you shut down sometimes, because it's a lot to deal with. That's called being human. But, and I have to tell you this in the most sincere way, and you know I like you already, Bobbi, but you made that situation happen. That's what you decided was your responsibility, and you have shucked it in a lot of ways over the years, but you've also assumed it as well in a lot of ways. And that's what's confusing. That's why you're getting the animosity from everybody. That's why people don't know how to deal with you sometimes, because they don't know if you're going to be there or not. They know the day when they went on their menstrual cycle and they couldn't talk to you, they lost something for you. Could it be respect? Could it be honor? Could it be they lost a sense of discipline? They lost something. And you're trying to assume your role in lives with people who don't think you're all there. So until you change, no one will change for the better. Not one person. Now, kids will always unconditionally love you. That's a whole different thing. But not one person that need to have a change in their life to make your situations amicable. And because you are an affable person, I'm sure you have nice people in your family too. But until you do that, until you make that choice to change the way you respond, that 0 to 5 second thing that you have a problem with, that can no longer be you. You have too much at stake to let that be you. When somebody tells you you're wrong, so long as you know you're not wrong, you don't have to respond terribly. All you have to do is not disagree, but turn around and confront that circumstance and say, what can we do to figure out who's wrong, or what's the culprit, or how could this be a mistake, or how can we fix this? What can we do? When you use the we word, try using we every time you talk to somebody this week. Every time you talk to somebody till our next meeting, I want you to use we, us, you and I, together, let's. Use those plural commands in everything you say to people you care about, and watch how they change. You don't even have to take my word for it. Just watch how they change. So,
because I got to a point where I said, you may be right, but I have to be mindful.
But that's different. You may be right. That's your way of being sarcastic. You know it. Come on, Bobbi. Matt, now, if you said you
But
made
it's the less of
the two evils, but it really is, it's a worse one, because they now feel that what they're saying is not important to you. So what I would say is, I would say the same thing you're saying. You may be right. Then you follow up. Remember, you're the one that needs to change. Then you follow up and you say, so what should we do about it? What do you think we need to do? Let's take a look at that. Let's really take a very honest look at it and talk about it. Okay, let's sit here and tell me, us, what do we need to do about it? How do we fix this? How do we make this go? And they'll realize quickly, by that tone, by your sincerity, and by you having the role as the matriarch and the patriarch, they will know that you still have the power, but they get to participate in it. instead of packing up all this stuff
Plural.
and
All
leaving.
this week, I'm plural with everybody I talk to.
I would be plural for the rest of my life. Now, there are times when you need to be, singular in your efforts and conversations
Oh yeah.
too. But when it comes to fixing problems, it must always be a plurality, always plural. It always has to be about we, us, let's, you and me. It has to be that way. All of us.
We.
Exactly. Because when you're looking at being participant in something, Bobbi, like right now, you're doing something you've never done in your own life. And based on what you've told me, you're participating in your own life. You've just been present. You've just been there and they've been counting you every time. No, now you're participating in your life. You're being very proactive and not reactive. Remember, forget reacting to anything. Never react. Respond. Respond to everything, react to nothing. If someone shot a gun right now, and this has happened to me in my life, right now, I won't flinch. I will figure out which way I need to go to avoid it or shoot back. Because it took years of being shot at and being in circumstances where things happened that I became accustomed to that. But that took practice. It took opportunity. It took, circumstance to get me there. You're the same way. You can just be as uncaring as possible in other people's eyes. But in reality, you do care, but you've seen so much and done so much that, hey, it doesn't, you just said it a little while ago. They'll be talking about their issues and you'll look at them like, okay, what do you want me to do? Okay, you just said that. And because you're seasoned, because you're a veteran of chaos, you've had a chaotic life. And you're a veteran, you're a vet of that. So do yourself a favor. Don't be so hard on you, one. Number two, be about us in everything. Everything you do from now, not just this week, for the rest of your life, when it comes to confrontation or arguing, always be about us. When it comes to real life every day and we're not arguing, it could be about her or him or you or us. That's an option that you didn't always have before. And then when people feel included, they always feel like they can do something to help the circumstance or the effort. When they feel included, if they feel excluded, they don't. It is literally that simple. Now we have about 3 minutes to go. Tell me, how do you feel right now?
I feel like I'm going to be in charge of my own narrative. And
Good.
I feel a sense of accomplishment in finding some ways to handle the conflict that I haven't been so great at.
Well, now you got my ear. Now you're tugging on my heartstrings now. This is good. We can be empathetic now about these circumstances. We agree that some things need to change, but they have to start with you. So if now I need to quickly say this, we're not traditional therapists, as I've always said on all of our video presentations, but we do care and we want you to find your way out of abuse, any kind of abuse. And not only that, I want you to click, like, and share and comment and help us get some traction on our videos and our series. And we're going to keep doing this until we get it. And we think that we're on the right track. I thank you all for your participation. Bobbi, you have a tough life, but you're a tough chick too. And I mean that in the most diminutive way, in the nicest way. You're a tough chick. So use that toughness. Please use that toughness to your advantage and stop taking a low road and reacting. Respond, pause, wait, and then make it about us, no matter what it is, in a normal voice, not a screaming or I'm going to choke you to death voice, but a normal voice. And we'll figure that what that normal voice is for you later in the future. Thank you, Bobbi. I really appreciate you being here today, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you all.
Thank you.